One of the problems with snowblower wells is that the well gets stuck on the axle here on the shaft, and when you have to replace the friction disc which sits on this hex shaft, you will need, perhaps on some models, not all models, but you'll need to slide it out and you'll need to remove the well, and the well is going to be almost impossible to remove from there. So I'll give you a maintenance tip, and I'll put in a comment section also how to unstuck a well. It depends on the model. My model is with this clip. So check comment section. First, you may want to lift that side on a piece of wood. Notice I didn't put it underneath the pan because it can bend the pan. Just on the side like this, depends on your height. And then careful with this kind of clips because they can really hurt your fingers, so we very careful with them. They just snap back sometimes and it does hurt. My well was already greased, but I want to tell you something because I did grease it, and see, 1 year later it's again difficult to remove. It doesn't come out easily.
20 minutes later.
So what happens is that there is kind of, I don't know, it's some material that builds up on the shaft, and also these manufacturers, they just made the shaft to be very tight. The tolerance is very small, and I think it's ridiculous. There's no need for that. So the first thing is just make sure you wipe off all this grease, make it really clean, and then you will see that the shaft is actually looks dark. You see, it's not rust, perhaps it's some rust, but it looks dark. So remove all grease and then use sandpaper and just sand off a small amount. Don't go too crazy, just sand off a small amount on the length so as to increase a little bit the clearance. I'll show you my results. When you finish sanding off, be sure to put grease again on place. I use a very fine sandpaper. You notice perhaps this is shiny and this is kind of a, I don't know, oxidation perhaps, but it does remove even more so that tolerance. Okay, so now it's nice and shiny, and also I did remove a little bit of material, a little bit of metal. I do use, this is synthetic grease. Try to use a quality grease that doesn't wash off with water. That's important because you are working in snow, also sometimes salt and whatnot. And also grease this side here because sometimes you may want to remove this shaft from the bearing. So if it starts to rust here, it was getting thicker and is not going to slide off. Let's try to put the well. Try to do it with one hand. And by the way, this model, so you have 2 pins here, and there is 1 pin into the well. Oh, look at this. It still has a little bump in there, but it does slide, more or less. I'm not very happy with the results. Probably I didn't sand very uniformly. Yeah, you should have a little the well a little easier back on. So there were 2 holes. If you put the pin here, you will have traction and the well will stay closer to your snowblower, so perhaps it's easier to turn, but it has less lateral stability. If you put the pin here, the well will have no traction, so you need at least 1 well with traction. I like to have both of my wells with traction. If you move the well outwards and put the pin here on the outer hole, then the well will stay more distant from the snowblower, more lateral stability, and the pin it's going into that hole, if I can find it, yes, and the well will have traction because it's stuck on the shaft. I already did a video when I say to grease the shaft, and if you look on YouTube, everybody is saying to remove, if you can, to remove the well just after you purchase the snowblower. Don't wait 5 years. 5 years is going to be real stuck, if not impossible to remove. So everybody is saying to remove the well and grease the shaft, but I'm adding to it, use some sandpaper to remove a little bit of the shaft, because even with the grease, it needs to be a little extra clearance so you can remove the well later when you need it. Thanks for watching.